Welcome to the Mystery Archive. This is the home of forgotten stories, unexplained events, and, well, some of the strangest anomalies history left behind. The aviation pioneer, her life and last flight. Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot. She was, honestly, a cultural phenomenon who shattered every limitation society placed on women in the early 20th century. By 1937, she had already become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, set numerous altitude and speed records, and inspired millions with her fearless approach to life and aviation. Yet despite all her accomplishments, she remained restless, driven by an ambition that would ultimately lead her into one of history's most enduring mysteries. Her final challenge was audacious even by today's standards, a 29,000-mile journey around the world at the equator, a route that would take her over some of the most remote and dangerous stretches of ocean on the planet. The aircraft chosen for this monumental journey was a Lockheed Electra 10E, a twin-engine plane that represented cutting-edge aviation technology of the era. Equipped with additional fuel tanks to extend its range, the Electra was modified specifically for long-distance flight, yet it still operated with navigation technology that seems, well, pretty primitive by modern standards. Earhart would rely primarily on celestial navigation, dead reckoning, and radio direction finding to guide her across vast expanses where even the slightest miscalculation could prove fatal. Her navigator, Fred Noonan, was one of the most experienced in the business, having pioneered many of Pan American Airways' trans-Pacific routes. Together, they departed from Miami on June 1st, 1937, embarking on an eastward journey that would take them across South America, Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. By early July, they had successfully completed approximately 22,000 miles of their journey, arriving in Lae, New Guinea, for what would be one of the most challenging legs of the entire circumnavigation. The next destination was Howland Island, a tiny speck of coral barely 2 miles long and half a mile wide, sitting in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. This 2,556-mile stretch over open water would test every skill they possessed. On July 2nd, 1937, at 10 o'clock in the morning local time, Earhart and Noonan lifted off from Lae's runway with 1,000 gallons of fuel, enough, they calculated, for approximately 20 hours of flight time with a small reserve. They would never be seen again, disappearing into the vast Pacific and leaving behind a mystery that has consumed researchers, historians, and aviation experts for nearly 90 years. The final hours of Amelia Earhart's flight paint a picture of increasing desperation and mounting navigational confusion. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca, stationed near Howland Island, was assigned to provide radio navigation assistance and serve as a floating beacon to guide the Electra to its destination. Throughout the night and into the early morning hours of July 2nd, the Itasca transmitted continuous radio signals and weather updates, but the communications between ship and aircraft quickly revealed troubling problems. Earhart's radio transmissions became increasingly fragmented and difficult to interpret, suggesting either equipment malfunction, atmospheric interference, or growing stress in the cockpit as fuel levels declined and the tiny island remained elusive. At 7:42 a.m. Howland time, the Itasca received one of Earhart's most significant transmissions. "We must be on you, but cannot see you. Gas is running low. Been unable to reach you by radio. We are flying at 1,000 feet. The message was strong and clear, indicating she was relatively close, yet something was preventing her from locating either the island or the Itasca. 15 minutes later, another transmission came through with growing urgency. "We are circling but cannot see island. Cannot hear you." The crew of the Itasca desperately attempted to establish two-way communication, transmitting on multiple frequencies and even generating smoke signals. but it became increasingly apparent that Earhart could transmit but not receive their responses, a fatal communication breakdown that sealed her fate. The final verified transmission came at 8:43 a.m., and it remains one of the most haunting messages in aviation history. Earhart's voice, now clearly stressed, reported, "We are running north and south." This indicated she and Noonan were flying a search pattern along the line of position they had calculated, desperately scanning the ocean below for any sign of Howland Island. The transmission was loud and clear, the strongest signal the Itasca had received, suggesting the aircraft was very close, perhaps within 100 miles or less. Then nothing. The radio fell silent, and despite the Itasca's continued attempts to make contact throughout the day, no further transmissions were ever confirmed. Somewhere in that vast expanse of Pacific Ocean, the Electra 10E, carrying two of the world's most experienced aviators, had simply vanished, beginning a mystery that would generate more theories, searches, and speculation than almost any other disappearance in history. The search operation that followed Earhart's disappearance was honestly one of the most extensive in maritime history up to that point. Within just a few hours of the final transmission, the U.S. Navy mobilized ships and aircraft for what would become a massive search covering approximately 250,000 square miles of ocean. The aircraft carrier USS Lexington launched dozens of planes to crisscross the search area, while multiple destroyers and the battleship USS Colorado joined the effort. For more than 2 weeks, searchers scanned the waters around Howland Island and along Earhart's presumed flight path, looking for any sign of wreckage, oil slicks, or debris. Despite the unprecedented scale of the operation and really favorable weather conditions during much of the search, not a single piece of confirmed evidence was found. The ocean had swallowed the Electra completely, leaving no trace of what many considered to be the most famous aircraft in the world. The immediate theories that emerged focused primarily on the most logical explanation, that Earhart and Noonan had simply run out of fuel and ditched in the ocean somewhere near their intended destination. This theory was supported by the declining fuel reports in her transmissions and the evident navigational difficulties. The public response to Earhart's disappearance was immediate and honestly overwhelming. Newspapers worldwide ran front-page stories for weeks, and theories began proliferating almost immediately. Some suggested mechanical failure, while others proposed that they had been blown off course by unexpected winds or miscalculated their position due to an error in celestial navigation. The mystery captured the public imagination in a way that really few events ever had before, transforming Earhart from a celebrated aviator into an almost mythical figure. Her disappearance occurred at a time when aviation represented the height of human achievement and adventure, and the fact that even the most skilled pilots could simply vanish highlighted both the romance and the terrible danger of early flight. The mystery became embedded in popular culture from that very first day, and it has remained there ever since, spawning countless books, documentaries, and investigations. Nearly 90 years after her disappearance, the mystery of Amelia Earhart continues to evolve as new evidence emerges and old evidence is re-examined through modern lenses. The current consensus among serious researchers has shifted somewhat from the original crashed and sank theory toward scenarios that allow for survival, at least temporarily, after the aircraft went down. The Nikumaroro hypothesis has gained substantial credibility through multiple lines of evidence, though it remains unproven without the discovery of definitive wreckage or remains. As we continue to investigate this mystery here at the Mystery Archive, we encourage you to engage with the evidence and form your own conclusions. What do you think happened to Amelia Earhart? Does the Nikumaroro theory convince you, or do you believe the answer lies elsewhere in that vast Pacific? The beauty of Unsolved Mysteries is that everyone can participate in the investigation, bringing fresh perspectives and new insights that professional researchers might overlook. Subscribe to the Mystery Archive so you never miss our deep dives into history's greatest enigmas, and share this video with anyone fascinated by aviation history or unsolved mysteries. Drop your theories in the comments below. Your insight might be the key that finally unlocks this nearly 90-year-old puzzle. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that sometimes the most important stories are the ones without endings because they inspire us to keep searching for truth.